Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing the Tudor Pelagos LHD. Stainless steel and titanium, this vintage-inspired lefty can be seen and purchased on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch, with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this Tudor Pelagos LHD. This watch represents one of the most interesting Tudor releases of recent years. Now, the brand has done a good job of mixing modern materials, specifications, and engineering with vintage styles, but what I like best about the way Tudor does vintage tributes is the fact that they don't do it literally. You never feel like you're wearing a factory replica, a literal reanimated corpse of an old watch. Rather, they tend to be effective medleys of vintage cues rather than the line-for-line takeoff that can often ruin the tribute watch genre at those brands that do it too literally. So here we have a late 2016 debut that combines the Pelagos line, which is generally a vintage-inspired but more modern watch in its composition than the Black Bay, and it goes not pure retro, but charmingly retro. The references are retro, and you can see this starts in the form of the dial, a combination of vintage cues from a simulated patina, but not the cloying ecru or brownish radium fade that you see on many. And the watch is definitely a modern timepiece. Note it has the crown guards, it has the full figured case, it has the full featured bracelet that you don't get on the Black Bay. So let's talk about how it fits and then break down the cues and the features and the functionality. Now, the watch is 42 millimeters in diameter, not including the crown guards and the crown. The watch is 14.4 millimeters thick, and because it does have sloped guards and a sloped bezel, it should fit underneath most dress cuffs, all but the absolute tightest sleeves. The watch is a compact 50 millimeters from lug to lug, and unlike Rolex solid end link bracelets, Tudor watches of the current era on Tudor bracelets wear true to their lug to lug dimension. There's no solid end link to flare out beyond the horns of the lugs. The watch is light in mass. I have to say, very low in mass compared to what you might expect. It's mostly titanium. It has a titanium bezel, crown, and case with a steel case back, and then a clasp that's a combination of structural steel with a titanium shell and a titanium bracelet with titanium links. So altogether, it weighs less than you would expect just using the eyeball metrics. It's not a steel watch, though it's not quite as light as pure titanium. Now, the timepiece wears well on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. Because of the absence of solid end links to the bracelet, I believe you could wear this watch securely on a wrist as small as 14.5 to 15 centimeters in circumference. Now, it is worth going into this timepiece, which is inspired by the heritage of Tudor. It's inspired by the reference 9401s that were given to the Marine Nationale, that is French Navy personnel during the 1970s. So those old 9401s specially modified to feature a left-handed crown. I should emphasize that this is an ambidextrous watch. There's no concern about wearing this if you're a righty and you want to put it on your left wrist. It's not going to dig into your arm. I've worn this watch at length and had no issues. It's more of a style, and it's something that really, perhaps as it does with Panerai, plays more to a stylistic and aesthetic sensibility than true functional requirement. The case is all of satin finish, and you'll see the same treatment on the bracelet itself. The bracelet, as you could see a moment ago, has a very tenacious clasp. Now, this is an upscale bracelet. No pins and sleeves here. All of the sizable links are removed with screws. There are broad channels between the individual links, and you can see the daylight coming through. It aerates nicely on a hot day to release heat, moisture, sweat, grit, and oil from the wrist, and it also has channels. As you can see, these scalloped portions between the links, preventing the pulling of hair or pinching of skin. Now, there's a clamshell to secure the clasp, and you'll note that the inside of the clasp is in stainless steel. The body is in titanium. The stainless steel elements gives the structural component strength. And then there is both a micro-sizing mechanism and a flip-out clasp. So pull it up, and now you can actually deploy it in bungee fashion over a wet or a dry suit. But if you want to add almost 2 inches of extension, the bungee effect is combined with a true flip out, so you can easily put this over a diving suit or more likely a thick winter coat when operating the snowblower. Remember, we're local to Philadelphia now, no longer of Miami. I appreciate features like this nowadays. Everything is nicely made. You get no sense that this is a junior model to any Rolex. It feels like an alternative to Rolex design rather than an entry level because of the combination of styling cues and in titanium, a material that you simply don't find on Rolex watches. Now, moving back to the dial of the watch, I really do feel this is well played. It's not a snowflake tribute, although it does feature the snowflake hand and index style, which is something I appreciate, but again, this watch is very much its own thing. It stands on its own four lugs. It's not trying to be a retro timepiece. This is the Pelagos, not a snowflake, not a Tudor Submariner from the 60s or 70s. You'll also note that there is a red 10 in the date window, and it is a true roulette date with the even numbers red and the odd numbers black. Now, what I also like here is that there is a slight patina style coloration to the Superluminova. So it is not a ridiculous hue of brown or reddish brown or clay or mud like you see on some watches that overdo the vintage style. Looking at you, Panerai. But the bottom line is, because it's not so darkly faded, it's also more legible in direct light. This is an easy watch to read in any light, and it does feature a titanium bezel with a ceramic insert such that the watch has a little more durability even than watches from Rolex in recent years. Of course, Rolex really only since the mid-2000s using ceramic bezels on many of its models. You go back to the early 2000s and the 90s, and what I hold in my hand is actually better appointed and more technologically advanced than Rolex is from that period, showing you just how far Tudor has come in a short while. And that's also measured in terms of the movement itself. Now, what's inside is a Tudor manufacturer caliber 5612. This is not like the Breitling B01 caliber used in the Black Bay Chrono. This is a true Tudor Rolex caliber. Automatic winding, 70-hour power reserve, anti-magnetic, COSC certified Swiss chronometer. It features both a quick set date and a hacking or stop seconds function. A full balance bridge with a free sprung balance, so it's very shock resistant as well. You can see the case back has been individually numbered in the style of vintage military issue, and Tudor promises that this is going to be a low volume watch. It will not have a 5, 6, 7, 8 year production run, so not a limited edition watch. It's nevertheless a low run numbered series. Now, the watch has a 500 meter water resistance, so solidly more than the Submariner, and you get the helium escape valve for you saturation divers out there that you have to step up to a sea dweller to receive from Rolex. What I'm saying basically is that you get a fatuous feature that you'll never need, but getting more for your money is what Tudor is all about, and therefore I think it's warranted and laudable. The watch is handsome. You can see the dial and its depth and its detail here. I love in particular how the indices cut into the Rayhaut. There's a great deal going on here, even at close range. This is a watch that, although not expensive and not finished by hand, does reward close viewing, including with a loop on its dial. Handsome, memorable, and unique. This is the Pelagos to own, and I may even say, in my own humble opinion, this is the most unique, the standout, the most charming and charismatic watch that Tudor makes in any line. And yes, I'm counting it over all of the Black Bay models. See this one and own it on our website.